In the hallowed halls of gospel music, where powerful voices echo with messages of faith, few names are as beloved and as mysterious as Kirk Talley. For decades, his smooth, soul-stirring voice was a beacon of hope and comfort for millions. He wasn't just a singer, he was a vessel, a storyteller who could make you feel every lyric was a personal testimony written just for you. His performances were less like concerts and more like spiritual awakenings. Fans were drawn not only to his immense talent, but also to the heartfelt sincerity that poured from every note, a sincerity that seemed to come from a place of deep personal experience. Yet, behind the thunderous applause and the bright stage lights, Kirk remained an enigma. While his music touched lives across America and around the globe, he himself was shrouded in a quiet mystery. There were whispers, hushed conversations about his struggles, his private battles, and his complex connections to other titans of the genre. Unlike many artists who rush to address speculation, Kirk chose a path of profound silence. He rarely spoke about his personal life, never responded to the swirling rumors, and always let his music be his loudest statement. This silence, at first, felt like grace and humility. But as the years passed, it grew heavy, leaving fans to wonder what truths remained untold and whether their beloved artist would ever find the words to share them. That long, silent wait has finally ended. What Kirk Talley revealed has sent shockwaves through the gospel world, forcing a community built on faith to confront a difficult and long-avoided conversation. Kirk Talley's ascent was nothing short of extraordinary. From the moment he first stepped into the spotlight, it was clear he possessed a gift unlike any other. His voice was a stunning instrument, at once gentle and profoundly powerful, able to shift effortlessly from a faith-filled whisper to a soaring declaration of praise. He wasn't just another singer, he was a masterful communicator who could transport listeners with a single phrase. Whether performing as a solo artist or as a key member of some of gospel's most celebrated groups, he consistently left audiences moved and inspired. He earned not only a massive following, but also the deep respect of his peers for his vocal mastery and his undeniable sincerity on stage. For countless admirers, Kirk was far more than a performer. He was a trusted messenger of faith, a man whose songs carried messages of hope desperately needed in a fractured world. His live shows were often described as transformative spiritual experiences, not just entertainment. Despite his remarkable success, Kirk often found himself in a complex position. While his own star shone brightly, it was often in the shadow of even greater gospel giants, most notably Bill and Gloria Gaither. This connection, one that many would have considered an immense honor, proved to be both a blessing and a profound challenge. Working alongside legends sometimes meant living in their shadow, and while fans saw him shining under the stage lights, Kirk was quietly wrestling with a silent, unseen struggle. He felt overlooked and unappreciated, a hidden pain that ran counter to the public image of unity and admiration. To truly grasp the weight of Kirk's revelations, you have to understand the towering, almost mythical role of Bill and Gloria Gaither in gospel history. The Gaithers are not merely famous, they are legendary, an unshakable force in the genre for more than half a century. Their songs are woven into the very fabric of gospel music, sung in churches and concert halls across the globe. They have filled arenas with millions of believers and built a multifaceted gospel empire that has shaped the lives of countless Christians. Within the gospel community, the Gaithers have long been seen as untouchable pillars of faith and music, a couple whose legacy is so immense it seems larger than life itself. To be connected to them was considered a supreme honor, a sign of recognition and a golden ticket to greater visibility. Kirk Talley had such a connection. He shared the stage with them, performed at their celebrated events, and watched their ministry grow alongside his own career. From the outside, all seemed unified, a picture of mutual respect and admiration. Yet, beneath the public smiles and shared stages, Kirk was feeling something entirely different. As years turned into decades, he began to quietly feel overshadowed, a sense that his contributions were invisible when compared to the enormous presence of the Gaithers. It was a feeling he carried silently, a heavy emotional weight that he never spoke of until he could no longer hold back the truth. For years, Kirk Talley consciously chose a path of silence. Instead of addressing the rumors or his growing frustrations, he poured all of his emotion and energy into his music. His songs became his true voice, his performances the only way he could communicate the feelings he rarely expressed in interviews. Fans admired his grace and humility, completely unaware of the silent battles he was fighting off stage. At first, silence may have felt like a form of peace. It allowed him to avoid conflict, protect his reputation, and focus on the one thing he loved most, singing for God and his people. But silence, he would eventually discover, comes at a significant cost. Over time, it became a heavy burden that weighed on him both professionally and personally. Close friends would later suggest that his silence was also an act of respect for the Gaithers. Speaking openly would have risked creating tension and division within a gospel community that prized unity above all else. With every passing year, the weight of these unspoken truths grew heavier and heavier. The man with the calm demeanor was quietly struggling with feelings of being brushed aside, ignored and forgotten, despite his immense contributions to gospel music. This inner struggle grew quietly but persistently until one day the dam of silence finally broke. For Kirk, the choice to remain quiet eventually felt like a betrayal, not just of himself, but of the devoted fans who had stood by him for decades, believing in a story that wasn't entirely true. When Kirk Talley finally decided to speak his truth, he did so with a remarkable mix of caution and conviction. His words were not filled with anger or bitterness, but with a deep sense of sincerity and honesty. He admitted that working in the shadow of legends like Bill and Gloria Gaither was both a tremendous honor and an immense challenge. While he held profound respect for their achievements, he also courageously shared that there were countless moments when he felt unappreciated and even invisible. He spoke of promises that were never fulfilled, projects that never came to fruition, and opportunities that never materialized. These weren't explosive scandals, they were quiet heartbreaks that accumulated over time, piece by painful piece. What made his revelations so powerful was not the dramatic nature of his words, but the undeniable ring of truth in them. Fans could sense that this was not a man trying to stir up controversy, it was a man finally unburdening himself from a lifetime of silence. He spoke not to hurt others, but to free himself from the emotional prison of holding everything inside. His honesty resonated deeply with his audience, igniting conversations that many in the gospel community had long avoided. The response to Kirk Talley's revelation was immediate and complex. Many longtime fans were shocked, as they had never imagined the struggles he described. They felt a profound sympathy for him, believing he had every right to speak his truth after years of silence. Others, however, were torn, struggling to reconcile their lifelong respect for the Gaithers with the disappointment of hearing Kirk's perspective. For their part, Bill and Gloria Gaither chose not to escalate the situation. They responded with a graceful dignity, acknowledging that every artist has their own unique journey and that sometimes perspectives can differ. Their choice not to retaliate or engage in an argument was seen by many as a sign of wisdom and restraint. Yet, the larger gospel community was undeniably split. Some saw Kirk's courage as a much-needed wake-up call, a reminder that even within the sacred world of gospel music, artists are human and can feel overlooked. Others worried that his revelations could create a sense of division in a community that so often champions unity. Whether welcomed or not, the conversation had begun, and it could no longer be ignored. Beyond the initial shockwaves, Kirk Talley's story carries a much deeper and more important lesson. His bravery reminds us that even in a world built on faith, human struggles are profoundly real. Gospel artists are not simply performers, they are people with emotions, needs, and vulnerabilities. The Gaithers, as towering figures, symbolize success and strength, while Kirk, through his vulnerability, now symbolizes courage and openness. Together, their names represent a critical new chapter in the conversation about recognition, respect, and honesty within the gospel community. Kirk's decision to speak was not about tearing others down, it was about finally releasing a burden that had weighed heavily on his heart for years. In doing so, he reminded the world that silence, while sometimes a necessary choice, can also become a suffocating prison. Breaking free from that silence takes immense courage, but it can also lead to a healing and growth, not only for the individual but for the entire community. The significance of Kirk Talley's revelation extends far beyond his personal narrative. It has become a turning point in how we view gospel leaders and artists. For too long, the assumption was that everything within gospel music was perfect, untouchable, and free from the struggles that plague other industries. Kirk's honesty shattered that illusion, proving that even within faith-based communities, there are challenges related to recognition, respect, and fairness. His words serve as a powerful reminder that true faith is not about pretending everything is flawless. Instead, it's about facing uncomfortable truths with honesty and courage. The Gaithers' dignified response and Kirk's heartfelt honesty together have opened a new chapter in gospel music, one where authenticity matters just as much as talent. This moment will be remembered not simply as a clash between two names, but as a lesson in truth, humility, and the immense bravery it takes to speak out after years of silence. For decades, Kirk Talley's story was defined by his music and his silence. He was admired for his voice, loved for his songs, and respected for his quiet grace. But another side of his journey remained hidden, one filled with disappointments, unspoken truths, and private struggles that few ever knew about. When he finally chose to speak, it was as if a locked door had been opened, releasing years of quiet pain. His revelation was not just about Bill and Gloria Gaither, it was about the courage to finally find his own voice. The reactions from his fans, the gospel community, and even the Gaithers themselves all reflect the complexity of truth. Some were shocked, others supportive, but everyone was forced to confront the reality that silence can hide deep struggles. In the end, the most important part of this story is not division or debate. It is the fact that Kirk Talley, after carrying other people's words and songs for so long, finally carried his own truth. That single act of bravery will remain his most enduring legacy, not only as a singer, but as a man who showed that honesty, no matter how long delayed, still has the power to heal, inspire, and transform.